So today we're talking loyalty success at LaBonne's Markets, which happens to be powered by ECRS. And the picture on the right over here was taken on day one after our first full day of using Catapult in our Watertown store. And it was a stressful install, you know, a lot of long days, long nights, but I got to give credit to our two installers, Alan Huffman and Danielle Bailey. They worked like crazy for 2 weeks to get us up and running. And you can see we've got a bunch of happy cashiers here after day one. So it's been a good year and a couple months with you guys. Quick overview. We're going to go over my background, LaBonne's background as a company, what I think makes a successful loyalty program, the previous limitations of LoyaltyBot, the new basket lift solution, which we've put together, the creation process for this, the results from going through it, then the reintegration into Catapult, and finally, the value of all this. And sorry I didn't give copyright information to whoever took this picture on the right here last year at Ignite, but I stole it from your Facebook page and liked it. So, quick history about LaBonne's Markets. My great-great-great-grandfather sold meat out of a horse and buggy up in Canada around the turn of the last century. He's the guy in the middle there in the top left picture. But it wasn't until 1962 when my grandfather and great-grandfather cashed in on their life insurance policies to start a small butcher shop in Watertown, Connecticut. And today we currently have 3 stores, and the company is owned by my father. And 3 stores, over 300 associates. And last year, all 3 individual stores all had record sales years. So I know they say that correlation doesn't equal causation, but you know, it was our first year with ECRS, so I'll let you guys make your own assumptions. Who am I? When I graduated college, I bought a tent rental company, built that up for a little while, and then sold it. And I got into software marketing and worked for a company for about a year and did a lot with them. And then it made sense at that point to come back to the family business, where I've been a store director, and I currently oversee all of our IT and marketing projects. And the picture on the right here, we could play Where's Waldo, but I somehow landed my face on the front page of the ECRS website recently, which is pretty cool. All right, so this is really the meat and potatoes to what we're talking about, or maybe I should say the corned beef and cabbage. But what makes a successful loyalty program? And the first piece of this, which most people really understand and know, is the loyalty points. The loyalty points to me are the customer's incentive to associate themselves. And by associate, I mean either swipe the reward card or enter their phone number. And what that does is it gives us the customer information when they register for the first time. And then going forward, it ties them to their transactions. And once we have that information, it's really powerful because we can then use it in LoyaltyBot. And LoyaltyBot, it's essentially an email marketing and digital coupon tool that is built into Catapult. And it's a tool that we use as an incentive to get our customers to spend even more. And we do that through this unified targeted marketing platform. And while loyalty points are pretty common, I think most point of sale companies do that. LoyaltyBot and an integrated, unified targeted marketing platform is really rare, and that's what we're going to focus on today. So this is how we currently market our loyalty platform at LaBonne's. We have these 10 different categories throughout the store, and these categories, we change them quarterly. But as customers spend on any of these items across any of these categories, for example, the whole produce department's in there, the whole dairy department, then a few other miscellaneous ones. Once they've spent $100 across any of these categories, they've accrued $5 in loyalty points, and then they can redeem that at any point in time or continue to accrue them. But the other key piece here, which I circled, is the digital coupon rewards, and that's the LoyaltyBot piece. And this is the powerful tool that we'll continue to tweak and play with, which led us eventually to basket lift. So I've been using LoyaltyBot for about a year now, and when I first started playing with it, I noticed some limitations right away, and they're mostly around how we segment customers. And previously, there was only 2 ways to do this. You can look at a total dollar range spending. So say somebody spent between $60 and $90 a week. We can group all those customers together and then set up coupons to be delivered to them automatically. Or if we wanted, we could take the top 10% of shoppers over a given week or month or any period of time and target specific coupons to them as well. But my issue with this is that we didn't consider shopping frequency at all, which meant that we couldn't look at their average transaction size. And the average transaction size is key to delivering relevant coupons to these shoppers, which is what we'll discuss here. So customer one, they spend $90 a week, but they shop one time, which means their average transaction is $90. So with the existing LoyaltyBot settings, we would deliver them a 10 off of a $100 coupon to try to get them to spend a little bit more and go up to the next tier. But we can take customer two, who also spends $90 a week, except they shop 3 times, which means their average transaction is only $30. So while customer one is, all happy about this, customer two isn't happy because they have to spend $70 more than they typically would to try to hit this coupon. So it's really not a good thing for them. And the solution to this is what this whole presentation is about today, which is what we've decided to call ECRS basket lift. I found this cool picture here, which I think represents it well. Yeah. So basket lift's goal is essentially to increase customer spending over time. What's involved with this? Well, the key piece here is delivering relevant coupons for all spending tiers. And this is all based on their average transaction size. So if you're a customer who spends on average $40 a week, I want to deliver you a 6 off of $60 coupon to try to bump you up to that next spending level or get you to try a little harder to spend more. If you're a $60 average customer, I want to bump you up to 80, so on and so forth. And we do that with these specific coupons. The other key piece here is having a time constraint. So if we just left this open-ended, there'd be no way to measure the results or incentivize people to get out and spend their money. So what I like to do is set a 2-week time limit on these coupons and campaigns that we send out. And lastly, all of this is delivered through the existing LoyaltyBot infrastructure. So I was debating whether or not to put this slide in here because I think it may make some people's eyes bleed a little bit with how detailed and annoying it is, but I think it'll serve a purpose. So there's 14 steps that I had to go through just for the purpose of setting up and delivering these campaigns. And prior to now, all of this was done outside of Catapult for the most part. So I had to run reports at each store server, pull this into Excel, import it into a separate database outside of Catapult, assign coupons to the customers, sort them, delete records, pull it back into Excel, pull it into Catapult, set power fields, create dynamic promotions, create the coupons and link them to those promotions, sync this with the LoyaltyBot contacts, create the email templates, the saved searches, and then finally review all these details and send the campaigns. But that's not all, because after 2 weeks go by, we have to somehow figure out if all of this tedious work was even worth it. And then there's another 7 steps to, I had to export all of the transaction data from these 2 weeks, and then that was over 500,000 lines of data, and isolate just the loyalty transactions, flag the required fields, delete the unnecessary stuff, export the data, and then ultimately summarize it into a pivot table. I know some of you probably want to throw a hammer at the screen right now, but I promise it's worth it because this was really a big success. So on the coupons alone, all of these had a threshold that the customers had to meet. And if a customer received these coupons, that means that they were spending on average below that threshold. So what was fascinating is the average spend over the minimum coupon threshold was $24 or 33%, which is a big deal. If we look at some of the top tier spenders up here, like this, all the people who received a 10 off of a $100 coupon, they spent on average $52 more than the face minimum on the coupon. So that was a huge win. But this slide is where it's all about. So over time, we sent 4 different basket lift campaigns. This is before we even had the name basket lift put together. And the average sales increase over this 2-week period was nearly $50,000, or a 37% increase. That's massive in the grocery industry. So we calculated that sales increase by multiplying the number of redemptions times the average increase in their spending versus their prior average. And the gross profit on that sales increase is roughly $17,000. That's taking 35% of the sales. And then the net profit, once we back out the cost of the coupons, the money that we gave away in discounts, is on average $7,200 per campaign back into our pocket. So I took these numbers, I showed them to Pete, to Bert, and they really liked what they saw. So they got together with the design and development team, and the dev team put their heads together. And when they do that, all of these numbers appeared. I took this picture pretty quick when that happened. And they basically made this happen within a few clicks of a button. So they took these 21 steps that I used to do manually and built it into a single tab within LoyaltyBot, which is amazing. And the other cool thing about this is once I go in, I set the parameters, the spending thresholds, the time frame, the coupons. It's set it and forget it. We plan this once. We set in the email addresses who we want to receive the reports after the fact, and this just runs itself, which is really incredible. So lastly, what's the value in all of this to us? Well, with the loyalty platform alone, our existing loyalty platform before we went to ECRS was a third-party additional module, and that used to cost us $27,000 a year. And this solution with ECRS is only $1,500, and I believe that was only a one-time charge, which is crazy. The dollars and cents there are obvious. The real priceless value to me is how it's unified versus integrated. And I think the key difference here with unified versus integrated is that everything you guys do is built into your same code base, the same transaction server. So it's all happening on the same platform. It's all built by the same developers, which removes so many headaches versus an integrated platform. It tends to be a third-party add-on. It's delayed. It's not real time. And the biggest benefit for us has been our customers' happiness for using the loyalty platform. There's no more friction involved in the process. And then stepping back a bit, the big picture with working with you guys has been the engaged leadership. It's really cool that I could send over a few numbers off of something that I hacked together as a side project, send it to Pete, and then a couple months later, it's a new feature in the system. You just don't hear that ever happening. The creative control that you guys have is amazing. And then you tie that together with the shared vision, the killer support team, and ultimately just the good people. I've been down to Boone a couple times now, and everybody I've met along the way has just been great. So with that, I'll end and say cheers to bigger baskets, badass features, and bright futures for all.